just as I conclude, what you see is not always what it is. This is, if you look carefully right through this is where the public transport in the city of Lagos runs, and as the train leaves, the market integrates. So there is always much more than what meets the eye, and therefore this is just scratching the surface. So please feel free to challenge this and help us make it better. Across, as we looked at the 4 cities, we try to grapple with what are the across-city findings, and that whether there are some generic lessons that we can draw. Clearly, a multidimensional approach to risk is a better way to look at it. There are other approaches where they have been, which come from the insurance industry, but they don't really, they are not applicable to this developing world, because much of the asset is not insured. 5% of property in any given country in this developing world would be routinely insured. So you can't get a sense of the asset base and link that to, which is usually done in disaster risk management. So we are saying, well, a multidimensional view may be a better way to go. And data is available on climate hazards, data is available on vulnerability, less somewhere, more in other places, but UN Habitat's database helps for vulnerability. And agency is really a function of what cities are doing. There is some case studies out there, but there is need to look at that more carefully. But in addition to that, despite the lack of some climate data, the projections are not a function of or are not constrained by legal gaps in historic data, and therefore there is a possibility to actually do some climate science related work as we measure risk. So that doesn't stop us from doing it. There is, or there seems to be, at least in some of these cities, a clear mismatch between needs and responses by the local governments, and that is very worrying. If Delhi focused solely on mitigation, who's going to look after the interests of the poor as the Yamuna becomes more prone to floods? If there are flash floods, that's the case of other rivers in India, what happens? Of course, there is vertical and horizontal fragmentation in the government, and people have, several scholars are arguing that that is a serious problem. But as the case of Delhi shows, any department, any stakeholder could take the initiative and trigger change, so that shouldn't hold cities back. That seems to be the case from our 4 case study cities. And there are some challenges to scaling down climate models. The Indian monsoon, and its variability is not easy to model, but there is a lot that can be done even with those constraints. As we go towards recommendations of your policy, this is applied policy research, and some people have raised questions about how would this get financed and what would happen. Essentially, not a whole lot of new resources need to be deployed right away. The big gains are really from looking at how existing public and private investment is happening in the cities. Both for private investment largely geared towards assets, in the real estate market, but also infrastructure, which remains largely publicly financed. That much of it neglects climate risk. It continues to deploy resources as if climate change is not their problem. And all we are saying is that these. Next slide. That if the investment models could simply factor in climate risk, that investment would be redeployed, and that would give tremendous gains and quick wins for the cities. Thank you.
What would you suggest adaptation policies for these cities in developing countries?
I think it depends city by city, of course, right? Because what would be applicable for Abidjan would not be applicable for Lagos, all being in the same region. But fundamentally, it would require an assessment of the kind that Cynthia will be presenting for the case of New York. It is, if you look at the brochures that were outside, it says it requires a 4-track approach in the macro, which we will discuss a little in the afternoon. But basically it says it requires an IPCC for mayors, which is a state of knowledge on the subject, and then would require something like this, which would be a national rapid risk assessment, all squarely focused on adaptation, not exclusively, but bringing the due emphasis. And then you would have to go deep into the city like New York has been doing. And the reason we don't go deep into the city is because this is really looking at existing research. So we prepared the framework, and our collaborating scholars use the framework to restructure existing knowledge within this framework for these cities. But when it comes to New York, it takes the brightest in the world and a lot of work to get it done, and a very committed mayor and their leadership, as was presented. I don't know if some of you had a chance to hear New York speak yesterday and day before. But it's a tough exercise. The risk assessment then goes through department by department, consultations, and then they look at what does this mean for them, their sectors, and so it becomes quite a deep exercise. So that's how it would go. But the only catch is that in New York you don't have this, no more. Historically, New York had its own share of slums, but when you have half the city in slums, and if the city government does not recognize it as a serious part of the city that they need to intervene in, then that poses other challenges. But roughly, you'll see over the rest of the presentations quite some bit of that. In fact, Cynthia's presentation hopefully will show what it takes. This is a conceptual shift in the thinking. Now, because the target audience is really risk assessment framework deployers, that this doesn't get into city-specific recommendations. However, in the case of Lagos, we are in talks with the group at the bank that is putting in this $200 million water project. We had some preliminary discussions with them. As this gets final, we would like to ideally follow up with the government, and it is too preliminary to start saying relocate, not raise pipes, do what, build walls. A lot of these instruments are well known, but it is not about the solution directly to be prescribed. It is really about the city taking ownership and then seeing that it is a priority on where it should be putting in its money. The conflict is the following, that 30 years of housing policy has taught relocation is not a good thing for slums. Therefore came slum upgrading. But now that is being absorbed by large institutions, and climate has not been absorbed. And so they are happy not relocating people, including those in the lagoon. So it is ossifying a new kind of risk. And that is a challenge, and there is no quick answer to that.